Welcome everyone to our 15th Fireside Chat. I'm Tim Hollick, and with me as always is my good friend Joe Zenny.
Good afternoon, Tim.
How's it going, brother?
It's going good. I think that we're doing good with these.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
I'm having fun, but I think we're all, I think we learn the lesson sometimes talking about them too, but this is part of what you post every day and get people to understand about life. And
Right.
it didn't happen in a day. It took you many years to get to the point where you can actually write down the things that you do and say, look, take a look at life and this is how it is. We hope that they're helping the folks out too at the same time.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about. And it's all about learning. Sometimes you don't even know what you're doing.
See?
I have to figure it out in time. And people, how do you sell the way you sell, Tim? You know, and then I have to look at it. I have to say, I don't know. And then you start breaking it down. Now I'm able to coach people and help them. And I think that's the biggest thing about life, the enlightenment of how you progress and evolve yourself. And I think that's why people say, how do you stay up, Tim, or you stay positive? I'm not always, of course I'm not. I mean, I get down like anybody, I'm a human being. But I think I stay up most of the time is because I'm always figuring out things more. When you start to understand things more, you start to understand how everything intertwangles with each other.
Yeah.
And you don't do things the wrong way. You know, I got a kick yesterday, you know, our good friend Dale Guiducci, you know, looked at the post and he reposted, he says, I love this quote I use of Covey, the way you see the problem is the problem.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we get enlightened in time on what that really means, because if we make it a problem in our minds, we keep it as a problem. But if we don't, we look at it more as a thing we come back with and how we're going to combat that problem where it's a solution. And I think that's what you become as you evolve more in life.
Two things you talked about: learning.
Right.
We're key on that. We try to learn something every day.
Right.
Well, gee, Tim, you're doing this, you got that, you got the business, you're over here, you're doing that. What do you need to learn for? Because if you don't, you become stagnant. So
You
you have to learn it. No matter who you are, you have to learn something new every day.
You really do.
And finding solutions. We're solution guys. This is what we've always done all our lives.
That's what we've done.
We put out fires, we fix the problems, we make the solution to the issue, so it doesn't become a problem. Or
That's
what's
right.
the problem? You know, then we have to figure out how to get it done. And I think that some people look at their issues or their problems, and they solve that with what we're going to talk about today. And you and I have many conversations about the excuses.
Excuses.
And my wife has an expression. We're not going to say it here, but she talks. You know, everyone has. You know, just like everyone has.
What we have everything.
Yeah, so, I mean, to me, I've always looked at an excuse as a negative. And like we just talked about, nobody's perfect. We all have little ones, but you want to keep them to one of minor. Because to me, an excuse is, you're not finding the value in life when you're looking for an excuse. And like you said, which was key to me, was all it's doing is satisfying you.
That's all it's doing. You're making yourself feel good, and you're taking away from the learning opportunity, like you said. That's the key to excuses. You know, when we make excuses, we take ourselves away from what could be possible.
Yeah.
And we do it because sometimes we don't want to say the real excuse, I mean, the real reason why you didn't do something. You know, the biggest excuse I always hear is, I haven't had the time. Have you got that done yet? I haven't had the time. I don't even want to hear that anymore. I hear it so much.
I watched your schedule over years, but intuitively over the last 4 years, because I've been working with you and for you, and I see the time constraints that you have. But you always have the time for people. You met with Tom this morning real quickly. He said, I didn't want to take your time. And you stood there and listened to everything he had to say, even though you had things to do. Find that time.
That's right.
And you're a big proponent of that.
Yeah.
You manage your time, so you don't need the excuse.
And it took a lot of time to do that.
Absolutely.
But, you know, you have to, in order to do more in life, you have to figure out ways to do more. And the biggest thing is, what do you delegate? Or what do you do? Sometimes a lot of people, what they do is, we all have our deficiencies.
Sure.
I'm not a manager per se of like money, paperwork and stuff like that. That's the worst thing you want me to do. So some people would work on that.
Yep.
Work on their weaknesses. Well, I say, forget your weaknesses. delegate your weaknesses and work on your strengths
Sure.
and become better. Now, when it comes to time, so you don't make excuses, you have to manage yourself. In time, we don't manage time, we manage ourselves.
Time's there, it's irrelevant. You have to manage
Right.
it, not the time.
And I learned that through one of Covey's books, Stephen Covey's book, First Things First. Great book, very dry book, probably takes 2 or 3 reads to completely understand it, but a really book that opened up your mind on things like that. And that's, if you want to do more, put more on your back. I guarantee you'll be a better delegator.
Yeah.
And you'll be better with the people you're working with when you do take the time to do it. I've learned that over time.
And that's what we talk about is the experience that you have to figure that piece out. You eliminate some of your excuses. Now, you know, if you used excuses throughout your life, I mean, would you be successful today or ever?
No. No, I wouldn't have learned enough. I wouldn't have got past the hurdles. You know, you know I'm a firm believer is whatever's obstacle in front of you, don't look at the obstacle. Look beyond it where you're going.
Right.
Look where you're going.
Right.
In football, I want to get on the other side and tackle the quarterback, the running back, whatever.
Right.
It's the same in life. You gotta look past the hurdle. There's going to be a lot of hurdles in your life, especially when you're in business.
Every day.
Every day.
Sure.
Every day there's somebody.
So if you had an
getting
excuse for
away.
it every time that something came up, where are you? I don't see you getting very far. You're not going to get around a lot of traction.
That's right.
So,
Exactly.
and I think that I've watched some of the things come up, and you could easily take the excuse. Now, you know what? We don't need to do that. You'd rather tackle it,
Mm.
and that's a part of success.
Yeah.
You could have easily said last night, "Look, I'm tired." You and Nancy could have stayed home, had dinner at home, watched a little TV, relaxed, maybe read a little bit. But you were out last night after hours for a couple of hours. It's valuable to you.
That's right.
You talk about people who, you know, I haven't got time. You always seem to find the time.
Yeah, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel as good. The only time you see me stay in bed is when I'm really sick. You know, if I got a temperature, you're gonna see me in bed.
Well, it's you know,
You
it's
know, I
kind of
can't-
productive trying to get out and trying to work. You know,
Yeah.
you
Or
know.
throwing up.
Right.
You can't do
I
that
mean, you're
stuff.
battling, you know, something you're not going to win,
That's right.
and that's not an excuse. That's going to be part of the reason, and we're going to talk about that, you know, next, because there are reasons why certain things happen, but people take that reason and make excuses with it, and we're going to tackle that in a little while.
And some people, their own worst enemy, they actually create a lot of stuff that happens in their life.
That's what it's
The
gonna
excuse
be.
is a part of that.
Yeah.
Excuse is a big part of that because again, every time you make an excuse, you're just making yourself feel better. That's all you're doing it for. You are pushing aside any learning. You're pushing aside any responsibility. And I really believe the biggest thing you can put on your life right from the beginning is responsibility. Put as much responsibility. I had it thrown on me. My dad died young.
Yeah.
So I was the oldest at home at the time.
Yeah.
It was thrown on my lap. I had to take that responsibility and run with it. So I really believe responsibility in life, if you can put more of that on yourself, you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish because you think differently. Your paradigm changes.
You do, and it's funny how you just took a negative subject of excuses and you just keep turning it into that positive. Here's a perfect example. You could have used your father passing away as an excuse for a long time.
Yeah.
But in the long run, who really cares, Tim?
Nobody. They just want you to produce. Everybody
Yes.
you run into, whether it's your family, your friends, your customers, whatever the situation is, everybody's counting on you to produce.
Absolutely.
And excuses are nothing. I remember when my mom died that day, and you know she died at like 2:30 in the morning, I think it was. And I got the call at 3:30 because I had left around midnight at the hospital, and my brother Jim called me and said, I said, oh, okay, you know, she's at peace now. Went back to bed, woke up in the morning to go to work, and people says, I can't believe you're going to work when your mother died. I'm like, well, that's what she would have wanted.
Right.
I mean, what would be me sitting around doing nothing accomplished? I didn't get anything accomplished because the amount of calls and people coming
Yeah,
to
sure.
give them your condolences took the whole day. I mean, it really did. But I needed to do that. That's what I do every day.
Right.
Sitting around the house, you know, mowing while my mother's gone now wasn't going to help anybody.
Doesn't bring her back.
It doesn't bring her back.
And it puts you in a situation of self-pity or using that excuse, my mother died, so I can just sit here and
That's
feel
right.
sorry for myself. No, you can't. Your mom died,
Right.
and you're right, she would have wanted you to keep being Tim.
Yeah. And excuses, what they do, they take you away from being responsible.
Right.
Because you give up that responsibility when you make the excuse. It's not me. Well, it usually is you
It-
per se. I mean, I
Absolutely.
saw that over and over again with myself or with people. You have to change your mindset. Just talking to Tom this morning about being a salesperson and how your mind keeps evolving, and all of a sudden what you thought wasn't really working is starting to work because you're starting to think differently. It takes time for people to change. But if you keep making excuses, and people usually do, salespeople are usually the biggest ones to make excuses. I found out a lot.
Oh,
They never want to be responsible for
I think
anything.
there's a list of stuff out there for salespeople using
Yeah.
an excuse. And
It's just, it's not doing you any good.
No.
You have to create.
Yeah.
Salespeople, if you're a salesperson in your life, the worst thing you can do is make an excuse that you couldn't get to it, because if you don't create it, it's not coming. People just don't walk in the door. You know, people come in our showroom all the time. Doesn't mean you're going to, sell them something. You know, it's a little bit tougher at that point. You have to get your mouth out there. You stop making excuses. You don't get the time to go to networking or to
Exactly.
call new people and see what's going on. And you know why the biggest reason why salespeople do not like to call?
Fear.
Fear that they're going to get rejected.
Fear.
Exactly right. And you know why they feel that way? Is because they call the people and try to sell them.
Right.
They try to say, you need to buy from me. It's not about buying from somebody. It's about making a relationship. Just call, how's things going? Everything good with your business? You know, I'm Tim. I do, Wood Palace Kitchens. We do kitchens, baths, things like that. You know, we work with a lot of contractors. The contractor I'm talking to, don't know if you maybe need our help in the future, but we're here. I'm not selling anybody. I'm just telling them who I am. That's all you should do in the first talking or meeting with somebody. As soon as you try to sell somebody to buy from you, why would they? They don't even know you.
Right.
I get it all the time with my emails. Constantly.
Yep.
On LinkedIn, you want to connect with me. I look to see what they are. I'm going to connect or I'm not going to connect.
Right.
Those people, I'm not looking to be sold, and that's what they're doing. Web people,
Yep.
insurance people,
I'm getting
real
it.
estate people.
Sure.
They're all trying to
And
connect
then
with Tim
people,
Hollick.
marketing people, I get it all the time.
Yeah.
But I look at it because it's easy for me to make an excuse how they can't help me. Take a look at it anyways. Don't ever dismiss anything as your excuse.
True.
Take a look at it anyways.
Right. So don't try to make the excuse you don't have time. Don't make the excuse that, well, when I called, they didn't want to talk to me. They never called me back. Well, did you do it right?
All right, and did you call the next person?
Right. Or did you sit there back and say, maybe I could do it differently next time, I'll get a different reaction. That's how I've always run my life.
Sure.
The way we see the problem is the problem. That's where it comes out. That's where excuses come from.
You sure do.
Excuses.
But the piece that you talked about, and we talked before we went on the air, was that people use it to make themselves feel better. Well, you can feel better, but you're not selling anything, you're not going to eat anything, you're going to feel so good after a while. You're just not. It's not going to work. Get rid of the excuses. Take, like you said, own it. Take on the responsibility, and you'll see how fast these excuses go away, and you start achieving goals. One of the things that I talked. How do you look beyond the excuses to achieve those goals? And you talked about that already. You're already looking past the obstacle.
Past it. Because you got to. Because the obstacles are going, like you said, are always going to be there daily most of the time.
Yeah.
And as you get larger in life and you start to understand more problems hit you, believe it or not. Not less, more.
Yes.
But you learn how to deal with them better. People say, how do you handle all your problems? I hate problems. I hate anything that takes me away from what I'm doing. But I have to have the mindset that it's there. I got to fix everything.
You can make the excuse that you don't want to deal with it, okay, but if you don't deal with something, it's only going to triple and double, in tenfold. Just take care of it. Find a resolution to it. Don't make the excuse of, I don't need to deal with that. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Own it, like you said, own it, take it now, because then it becomes only a bigger problem. Now you're going to come up with a bigger excuse, and now you're just wallowing in self-pity.
I love the fact how people explain when you point to somebody, one finger's pointing away, one's going up, and three are pointing back at you.
Right, exactly.
You need to look at yourself first. Everything you do, if you are a responsible personality, you're always going to look at it's not working. So what do I need to do to make it work? I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. And that's all I've done in my life is, do you think I started Wood Palace 40 years ago and knew everything? I knew nothing.
You knew nothing.
I knew nothing about business. I only knew about cabinets, but there was plenty to learn there too.
But you knew about yourself.
That's right.
You didn't use the excuse, well, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, maybe I can learn about it.
Yeah.
You've eliminated the excuse, you've taken on the responsibility. One of the things that we've talked about every once in a while, you throw your hands on the, I can't believe what I just read, Someone said, oh, Tim, how can you do this? Because, blah, 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 blah. And you say to them, but you can do this, and they come back, well, I haven't got the time, or I don't have the resources, or then why are you wasting my time?
That's right.
Don't ask me.
Don't ask me.
If you're going to have an excuse for it, don't ask me, because I haven't got the time.
Yeah. Because it's all about you.
Yeah.
It comes down to you. What are you doing right? What are you doing wrong? And now I'm in the coaching world. That's what I'm going to do. That's exactly my job as a coach. My job as a coach is not to tell you what to do.
No.
It's to pick your mind, just like I pick the minds of my salespeople. Questions, listening. Questions, listening.
Yeah.
More questions, more listening. To peel it down so I can ask you questions eventually to get you to think.
Right.
That's what coaching is.
And
it's all it is.
It's again, I said it before, it's not rocket science. And the key to that is your ability to listen. But the people that you're trying to coach, eliminate the excuses.
Right.
Listen to what you're talking about. You need to listen too.
Mm.
But you also need to communicate back.
That's right.
So you know where to take the next level.
Yeah.
But the first thing you're trying to do is get rid of their excuses.
Yeah. I just,
It's a waste of time.
excuses make me crazy.
They do.
I didn't get to that
They
because,
can drive you crazy. I've seen it.
my firm belief in my life, if I wasn't able to get to it, I worked extra hours to get to it. Because if I didn't do that, my contractor customers would have been angry with me. If I didn't keep up.
Right.
So what's the worst thing you can do? You finally get the work coming in and it's flowing in more than you can handle and just say, well, this is all I can handle. What's that going to do for you? You need to find ways, hire, sub, work extra hours.
So
if I went, people said, you were always at your daughter's stuff. Anything that was important, I was there. If it wasn't as important, I wasn't there because I was a busy guy running a business.
Right.
But if I did go, and say I went from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, then Tim came back to work at 6:30 after eating. It was probably here till 10 because I had to get something done.
Right.
But
you could use that excuse, well, I had to go to my daughter's recital today. Oh, okay. But you still need to take care of your customers.
That's right. It all comes down to you, like I said, it's your heart. I almost cut my fingers off on a shaper when I was first started the business in my mother's yard. And my brother-in-law rushed me to the hospital, got the shots, got completely stitched up, and my sister comes to pick me up, and where do I go? Not home. I went to an appointment that I had already made.
You gotta go back to work.
So I went to that appointment, and they couldn't believe I was there. Well, I made the appointment. I'm not dead.
Right.
I will be in pain later on, I'm sure, when the Novocaine wears off.
Right, but the solution is you fix the hand, let me go at least take care of this.
Yeah. If I couldn't have, I would have. Right. But sometimes you gotta go above and beyond so you don't make excuses. We all make excuses in some ways, and like I said earlier, you got to look at the other person's feelings. Sometimes you're going to make an excuse why you didn't do something so you don't hurt them.
Right.
You might have had something else more important to do.
Right.
And that's how I run my life now.
But that's
First things first.
That's a value piece too. You got to look at the excuse and see the value you get out of it on that.
Yeah. But you'll become better at your off time when you get your on time better. Less excuses, making things happen, delegate better,
Yes.
get better, change your ways, because if it's not working, excuses only make it worse. They make you weak. And the longer you stay weak, the tougher it is to get out of it. You've said it. The longer I sit at home, the less I want to do.
Right, and the more difficult it is for me to get up and move.
That's right.
Hopefully we got something out of this. We're going to do a part 2. We're going to use reasons versus excuses and see the value in the two of those.
Exactly.
Great
Great time.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.